is to take quick action to deal with emergencies when they occur. Of particular mention here is the ambulance service. The good news is that the federal government has embarked on introducing ambulance services into the nation's healthcare delivery. Emergency medicine and services is our focus on this week's episode of Health Options. Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Rabi Abdullah.
Curious about how government policies on healthcare are faring? Do you enjoy learning about wellness concept and the many options available? Then watch Health Options on the NTA.
Mr. President has led by example. Take the COVID-19 vaccine.
Somebody can say, hey, I woke up this morning, I felt some tingling in my hand, some weakness, my face I couldn't speak well. That's a warning stroke, and it shouldn't be ignored.
The carrots contains carotene. Tomatoes is a colored plant. It has carotene. Pepper has carotene.
50% of our diet should be green vegetables and fruits.
Join leading experts on both orthodox and alternative medicine for all the enlightenment you need for a healthier you.
Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Rabi Abdullah. If you are just joining us, this is Health Options, and we're taking a look at emergency medicine and services. We take off with emergency medicine.
Emergency medicine, it's a very new field, but the youngest specialty globally. In the US, it's less than 40 years old. The oldest institution is in the UK, where they're about 50 years old. In Canada, we're about 30 years old as well. So in Nigeria, it's just taking off the ground. But in some form, emergency medicine has always been there. In the past, we used to have casualty centers where people just come in when they have health challenges, like somebody collapses, someone with a seizure, or someone with maybe very distressing chest pain. And when they get there, we have doctors from various specialties who feel comfortable, who have an idea of what they might want to do looking after these patients. But there was no actual structure in place to understand what was required to be done. There were no standard protocols. That's when doctors now felt we are having a missing link here. We need to come together and have our own set of specialists who just deal with people in acute medical or surgical or trauma crisis. That's where it all started as a specialty. And that's what emergency medicine is all about. To further elaborate on what an emergency constitutes, it has to do with what the individual feels is an emergency to them. I will give an experience. Working in my clinical area at the moment, we have cases that range from very serious road traffic accidents with people who are already having life-threatening injuries to people who just have maybe a slight cold or a cough. But to them, they feel that's an emergency. So we are like the safety net for the healthcare system to have people have access to healthcare when they need it, regardless of what they feel. So an emergency is how you feel. You feel, I have a headache, this is abnormal, I'm not feeling okay, I need to go to a hospital. We are there to see you, and we are there to look after you and determine if you have anything that is very serious or if it's something that is mild that can be treated quite without anything very invasive or anything that needs admission for.
Appropriate handling of emergencies is critical. How can this be achieved, taking into consideration what obtains in this part of the world?
With regards to the perception of the public of what's available for emergency care, the general approach to it is they feel they can take responsibility for these situations and they want to rather take the patient or the victim to the nearest healthcare facility or maybe a recognized doctor that they know, which is one part of the problem. The other part, which is worse, is some don't even go to the hospital. They choose rather to go to maybe people like religious organizations to pray over these things, and or in some cases it's just pure denial, and they leave them at home and try to use maybe unorthodox approaches. So to deal with this, I believe advocacy is the way to go to enlighten members of the public that emergency issues that are medical should not be taken lightly. And when anyone has any health crisis, the first point of call should be how do we get the trained professionals to come down to us to intervene and resuscitate and now take them for care. It's going to take a whole lot of work, but it can be done because even in the other countries where they have well organized systems, they were also where we are right now at some point. And another big issue is the general notion about how ambulances are used. So the public tend to avoid ambulances because they believe once you're in an ambulance, then maybe you're dead. So they do not want to be seen in that situation, and they rather just go in their own car and not have that stigma that an ambulance came to their house. And that has to also be addressed by letting them know that, look, an ambulance is not for dead bodies. Rather, we should try to get people who are trying to move their bodies have funeral homes with the heads, so we can separate ambulance use for emergencies from heads or funeral activities. So this has to do with culture, and as it is culture, it takes a while to change, but the work is already been done, and I believe we would get there and things will change. Let the public know that emergency issues right now, do not try to handle it yourself, and involving the media to educate people, just like the way people are very much aware about things like maybe HIV and sickle cell, to now direct much more attention into emergencies and say, look, with emergencies, this should be the approach. Maybe something as simple as maybe a three-step approach of one, recognize the emergency, two, call the ambulance, three, wait for the ambulance, just to make it much more simplified. And these things tend to stick more. And I believe with NEMSAS introducing that aspect, besides involving the other systems to provide the service, and now also approaching the public to now know that, or let them know that this is what you need to do, then it should really make sure that what NEMSAS is doing is really felt by members of the public. One of the highest causes of mortality that has been not well documented, or we don't have much data in Nigeria, is death from cardiovascular ailments. And one major life-threatening problem is acute chest pain. That's sudden chest pain. Somebody is sat down with you, and the next thing you see, the person is cutting their chest, and before you know it, they either pass away, which happens most time. That is like a sudden heart attack. People should not take that serious. Chest pain ideally should be a major cause for you to immediately dial the emergency number and get an ambulance come down to you that's already been designed with the services that are in place now, so you can be properly assessed to determine if this is a heart attack or something that is milder. That is the first one I would point to. The second one is acute stroke as well. When somebody that you've known to be able to speak normally has had good speech, or it's just not unwell, then suddenly you see them drooling, or they can't speak, or they have arm weakness or leg weakness. That is not the time to pick up your phone to call a closest friend. That is not the time to pick up your phone and call a religious person. That should be an immediate reason to pick up your phone and get an emergency response down to you, because that is a sign of stroke. There are even acronyms for that, which we call the FAST. One is facial weakness, two, arm weakness, speech deficiency, and the thing is, the T is time to call. So that has sailed very wildly, and this is like England, US, and UK, and even people who are uneducated know what fast is, and you have lots and lots of good response to stroke care because the public know that this is not what they should joke with, which I believe is what we should be doing here. So we've talked about stroke, we've talked about I've talked about chest pain. The other pain is also breathing difficulty. Somebody starts having difficulty breathing. That can be life-threatening because it can be very, very severe acute asthma. And these things can be treated with efficient and prompt emergency care. And there's no need or no reason why we should lose lives to these issues. The phone should be picked up to call an emergency response to come attend to you so they can deliver the care that is necessary. So these three top ones, which are time-sensitive issues, is what I've been able to speak about here. Whilst there are a whole variety of other things, but these three are the ones that come to mind. I really believe so. I left out one, which I would like to go back, seizures. When people have seizures, I know that a lot of people who have like undiagnosed seizures, and the next thing you see people doing is maybe trying to put a spoon in their teeth or do all sorts of things that are not right. When someone has a seizure, that's also another reason to immediately contact the approved emergency number or get emergency response to come take that person up and to deliver the efficient care that they need, because seizures also, if not dealt with properly within even the first 30 minutes, can lead to a whole myriad of other problems. So people should realize this and not take it lightly. Well, what to do in a seizure is to lay the patient or the victim on their side, the left or their right, and just wait. That's the only thing to do. Yes, call the ambulance and wait. Do not try to pour water. Do not try to put anything in the mouth. Just lay them on their side, because when the victim is laid on their side, then you reduce the risk of aspiration. And that way, there's no harm that can happen. If the ambulance, if for any reason the ambulance is not going to come on time, which we hope with the whole structure being laid in place that we will have response times within tops maybe 30 minutes. If it's going to be beyond that, then there is room to at least contact the nearest hospital who might have an ambulance, or in that case, now take them down. But don't put anything into the patient's mouth. Just lay them on their side, which is that is a strict approach, and try to get them there. That is if there's unusually prolonged delay for response. Most times, the human body is very resilient, and we get away with these things. But I can assure you, if we have the data, there are lots of people who have complications from this who have passed away untimely. The safety net for the healthcare system is emergency medicine, which is the umbrella for pre-hospital care, that's the ambulance response, and what happens also in the immediate first hours when you arrive to the hospital. And the members of the public need to understand that a medical emergency can happen to anyone. It doesn't mean that the person has a spiritual attack. It doesn't mean that the person has anything bad that they have done. It just means they need medical care prompt, and that should be the approach. And people should take this into consideration and try to get the emergency response people that they have in their locality involved to take them to the right place where they need to receive care.
Let's now turn our attention to emergency services. In order to reduce the number of deaths caused by the delay in access to healthcare services, the federal government has embarked on the introduction of the National Emergency Medical Service and Ambulance System, which goes by the acronym NEMSES. Let's hear more from the Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Ehanire.
National Emergency Medical System and Ambulance Service is a program that is being developed at the Ministry of Health to provide medical assistance to citizens at time of need, at place of need, and at no cost to them at point of care. Just to take care of the fact that those who cannot afford treatment at that moment will still get treatment. This will reduce mortality from various sources, whether it's from injuries or from obstetric delivery complications or other acute illnesses. The mortality will be reduced. So the program is being worked out by the federal government between public sector and private sector, who will bring their ambulances together, and also their hospitals, some of which will be selected as urgent care centers, and they're working in strong collaboration with the Nigeria Communication Commission, who are providing the number and maintaining the number 112, which provides access to service. The rollout will be at the Federal Capital Territory, and the dry runs are being conducted at the moment until we are confident to let it start.
Are you likely to achieve that before the end of this year?
Oh yes, definitely. We'll start off with the pilot test before the end of this year, and roll out in the states. There are about 13 states that have already registered interest and are preparing themselves for the rollout, and to ensure that the entire state, each entire state is served, and there will be an emergency operations center in every state that coordinates the activities of the NEMSAS. So we are piloting here in the FCT, and we are going to have a test run, or rather a dry run as it's called, in a couple of weeks. We've done one dry run already to see how it works.
Curious about how government policies on healthcare are faring? Do you enjoy learning about wellness concept and the many options available? Then watch Health Options on the NTA.
Mr. President has led by example. Take the COVID-19 vaccine.
Somebody can say, hey, I woke up this morning, I felt some tingling in my hand, some weakness, my face was, I couldn't speak well. That's a warning stroke, and it shouldn't be ignored.
The carrots contains carotene. Tomatoes is a colored plant. It has carotene. Pepper has carotene.
50% of our diet should be green vegetables and fruits.
Join leading experts on both orthodox and alternative medicine for all the enlightenment you need for a healthier you.
Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Rabi Abdullah.
My observations are that at the moment there's lots of efforts to develop access to prompt and efficient emergency care in Nigeria, outside of Nigeria. And we have the government even coming in to set up the NEMSAS body that would design a structure and a system to have people dial an emergency response number where an ambulance will come pick them up from their place, wherever they might be in the country, but they're starting in Abuja, I was told. And they will now be able to triage them and take them to where they will receive further care. If it's a case where they don't feel that this needs to be taken to hospital, they can give them maybe basic care there and leave them or direct them to go to their general practitioner. So there's a lot of work going on, which is very impressive. That's from the government sector. From the private sector, there are lots of different organizations who have been leading the whole front. And because people are not really aware that these organizations exist, there's been little, not as much calls to them as there should have been. So these companies are still trying their best to just make sure that they keep up with the demand in the way they can and also try to survive. And the good thing is the government's also trying to partner with these bodies to design or develop a more robust system to ensure that people get this emergency care that they need at the right time. The bad is more of the approach to how response is made. We have some of these private companies who, I don't want to sound critical, use people who are not properly qualified to provide the service, and this could lead to serious situations, which also include loss of life, which now defeats the aim in the first instance. But that, I believe, with NEMSAS now going into the whole system would reduce, because these people will now become, or these private services rather, will now be properly vetted and accredited to ensure that for them to be providing pre-hospital or emergency care, they have the right experts or people offering this care.
Now, what would make someone set out on a journey and not get to his or her destination? Now, imagine the victim who cannot reach out to these responders, who doesn't even have the phone to reach out. Hello, thank you very much for joining us on platform. I'm Ruth Aguen.
And the girl, especially if the girl is a minor, she's not yet 18 years, if she gets pregnant, realize that such girl is sent out of school and the boy is left in school.
Just park to pick the call.
So how much sensitization is there, Paris?
I don't agree. A lot of people are just deaf.
That does it on this week's episode of Health Options. A quick reminder that you can go to our YouTube channel to watch the upload of these and other episodes of the program. Email us for your comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. I am Rabi Abdullah. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again.